other 7 respondents. As you be aware that the case was heard, the parties argued the case on 4th August 2025. After the arguments, the court gave the timeline when judgment would be delivered, and the court had indicated that judgment would be delivered not beyond Friday, 8th August 2025, or Tuesday, which was 5th August 2025. I'm happy to let you know that finally we have gotten communication from the court that the matter has now been scheduled for judgment on Friday, 8th August 2025 at 11:30 hours. That's 11:30 a.m. Tomorrow. We are grateful for that. And so let's keep our ears to the ground so that we can hear what the judgment will be. I'm very much conscious that parties are anxious to know what the result will be. But what is important, whatever will be the outcome of the judgment, let's continue respecting the deceased. What is being looked at the end of the day. Whatever happens tomorrow, at the end of the day, are we going to give President Lungu a decent burial? That is what our concentration will be. At the end of the day tomorrow, when the judgment is given, I don't think there will be a winner and a loser, but the court will just be giving us what is the best. And I believe the court has looked at the evidence before, which is on record, and the court is...
There is Zambia's Attorney General Mulilo Kabesha, very confident tomorrow. He even announces that they will accept the judgment and that he will not even appeal to the judgment. So the judgment will be delivered tomorrow, Friday, 8th August 2025 at 11:30. Remember, this is a matter that is before the High Court of South Africa, Gauteng Division in Pretoria. Case number 096556525. The Attorney General, as an applicant, wants a body of the late president to be taken to Zambia. He wants to say a state funeral and put the remains of the late president at Embassy Park. He has sued for this purpose to get the body. He has sued Mama Esther Lungu as widow and former First Lady. Then he has sued Betha Lungu. He has sued Tarsila Lungu. He has sued Dalieso Lungu. He has sued Chieso Lungu. He has sued Mr. Charles Piri. He has sued the family spokesperson, Makebi Zulu. He has also sued Two Mountains Burial Services. A quorum of 3 judges is hearing this matter, and the acting president of the court, Judge Aubrey Fago Ledwaba, assisted by the deputy acting president of the court, Judge Fanuel Madau, and supported by Judge Sulet Potahiu Eledi, will be delivering judgment tomorrow at 11:30. Colleagues, like I announced, I'm hosting the attorney, not the attorney general, Mwamona Fianchikata, if you have our attorney general. We are hosting Honorable Raphael Nakacinda. I'm having some bit of glitch here and there because of the camera I'm using. Doesn't seem to be syncing with my software, but I think we'll get by. It's a temporal matter and it will be resolved. SG, Honorable Raphael Nakacinda, welcome and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Good evening to our viewers and listeners and those who are following us on this platform. Allow me, first of all, to start by indicating or saying that we continue to mourn, we continue to send messages of sympathy and condolences to the family, to the people of Zambia, and to all of us, especially the extended family of Patriotic Front, on the demise of our late president. And it's very unfortunate that we are still discussing some of these issues. Had we applied ourselves collectively as a people, and had those who are privileged to be in government applied themselves correctly, I think these matters would not even have gotten to grace the courts of a foreign land to be able to resolve matters which, if we are honest to each other, we were truthful to each other and sincere, I think by now we should have been able to resolve these issues. Ambassador Mwamba, under very difficult circumstances of losing our leader, you also allow me personally to congratulate you for creating, as we all Zambians at least know of your skills and passion and patriotism to the country, creating a platform, not only this, but many other contributions you are making to make sure that the voice of the voiceless is heard. Even us who are in opposition and other stakeholders are given a platform to which we can be able to express ourselves. We can only encourage you. We know what you have gone through and what you continue to go through at personal level, sacrificing for the country. You have never stolen. You have never abused your office. You have never done anything inimical to the country, save for the fact that your zeal and your commitment to have things corrected in the country has landed you in a situation where you have to be speaking outside our borders. You have spoken to me personally and also to other people that you are determined to come and be able to deal with some of the issues that have personally been brought to your attention. And we can only pledge that your patriotism will pay off. Zambians will one day be liberated.
Thank you, SG. Of course, there will be a time when we'll discuss my case one day, and thank you for those complimentary and kind words you are offering. SG, where we are now, a very sad reality where we are. We have the late president who died 3 days ago. It's been 2 months since we lost the president. We have not put him to rest. We have not, interred his body because of this crisis. Just speak to this unfortunate crisis briefly, and what our expectations are in tomorrow's judgment and what needs to be done thereafter. The country has been on a cliffhanger since the late president died on 5th June 2025.
I think I have categorized, or I can categorize the issues around the funeral and embassy around the burial of our late president in 4 or 5 categories. First of all, there are personal and family issues that have to do with the President Lungu himself, as well as his family. In a very unjustifiable manner, President Lungu has suffered from the time he left office untold mistreatment and abuse. Abuse in the sense that for those of us who are privileged to be part of the transition, there were engagements between Mr. Nakinda and the UPND and President Lungu and the Patriotic Front, presided over by our former President Rupia Banda, former President Kikwete and Koloma, where issues were discussed and they led to obviously as what was considered a smooth transition. President Lungu was very careful to ask his successor that if there are any issues now that you are president, that you have either at the time that you're in opposition or now that you have about to take office, raise them with me. I'll be able to provide answers and also be able to guide. The unfortunate part is that the propaganda and messaging that they were propagating when UPND was in opposition and Mr. Nakinda was in opposition, they seem to have said it so many times to a point of believing things which even didn't make sense in relation to governance. So to that effect, it informed the actions they took when they got into government. So, Ambassador, we immediately saw that President Lungu was subjected to, mistreatment immediately he got out of office. One specific example I can give, and you have to bear with me, that we may have to be a bit more personal because some issues, we need to go that far. He had requested that his private residence that he was preparing as a retirement home after his tour of duty, that is President Lungu, he indicated to his brother that it's not yet fully ready. And to that effect, if you gave me 2 to 3 months, I would be able to finish, at least make it habitable, then I can move there. So President Lungu requested for a facility. President HH committed that I will allow you to use that particular facility. Night before inauguration, he abrogated that commitment and sent through a third party that I want to make that facility available, find your way. Because by that time, President HH felt secure and guaranteed that he would take the reins of power the following day. People don't know that the reason why Mama Esther Lungu didn't go for the inauguration is because she was busy trying to find an alternative, place for them to settle for a temporary period of time. And that's how the Sunzu house came to be. That was the beginning of a sign that we're not going to go on the path that suggested or was suggested it would be a path of us, having a new page in relation to how a successor relates to the predecessor. Fast forward, I think the story has been told. We all know what has transpired. The restriction of President Lungu in terms of traveling, stopping him from doing any activity. He was basically under house arrest. He can't go to church, he can't go for jogging, he can't go anywhere apart from being at his residence. When he insisted that he wanted to try and socialize out there as a normal human being, the next thing it was Yui and other people going into his house, almost breaking his gate, and we all know what transpired, to try and just basically intimidate and say, sit in your house, otherwise you're in trouble.
Thank you, SG.
2 years down the line.
Thank you, SG. Of course, this matter now brings us to the state of the country. I don't know first if you wish to speak to tomorrow's judgment, maybe before we go to the state of the country, which has now even presented where the Patriotic front is. Maybe, unless you have some words about tomorrow's judgment and expectations, maybe speak to that.
Yeah. One of my weaknesses, which is sometimes can be a strength, is that I'm always historical before I can give the current situation and project a future. So from those personal family issues, which I think are documented, came the issue of hijacking the party, which I think is also documented, and we know what transpired up to today. Beyond that, we have seen a clear state-orchestrated, UPND politically orchestrated machinery to try and polarize institutions of government. Whether you talk of parliament, you talk of the judiciary, you talk of other quasi institutions of government like ECZ, Auditor General, and all these institutions, they all have ended up with UPND cadres appointed to run those institutions. When it comes to our geopolitics, continental, regional, and so on, we have also found ourselves in a very difficult situation, starting with, first of all, abrogating our long-standing position that as Zambia, from Kaunda through to where Hichilema as president found us, we have been non-aligned. All of a sudden, when President HH became president, clearly we become aligned and has put us in a bind today, to a point where there is now a clear situation where the China, there's a propaganda machinery that has been set against China. We also have some of the Chinese projects or mining enterprise that have abrogated environmental whatever that is a threat to the livelihood of our people. And it's like we are put in a position where we have to make a choice. It's either we're favoring the Americans or favoring the Chinese. When in fact, historically over 50 years, we have always held a position that we are friends of everybody, only to the extent that whatever we engage with these friends of ours should be in the best interest of our country. If China is in the wrong, we'll tell them they are in the wrong, not because we are saying it to favor America. If America is in the wrong, we'll tell them you are in the wrong, not because we're favoring China or favoring the East. That has been the position. Now, having described some of these issues, today, the reason why President Lungu, in his death, has become such an issue is because some of these fundamental issues, from family and personal issues, party and democratic issues, governance issues, and even our position in terms of our involvement at continental global level, are the issues that President Lungu was passionate about and was not willing to compromise, and they were the motivation for him to come back to active politics. Today, for this issue about the burial of President Lungu to end up in court, from the perspective of the party, is because President HH has not been able to respond to the fundamental issues that led to President Lungu, first of all, coming to active politics. And even when President HH sent emissaries, Ambassador, before you left, you remember Nkoloma was one of the first emissaries sent to President Edgar Chaganungu to try and persuade him on behalf of President HH to abandon the idea of him coming into active politics. And he said, the only reason I'm in active politics is because our democratic space is shrinking, our democracy is under threat. This man has even hijacked the main opposition political party and given it to surrogates. He was as clear and as explicit as I am presenting to you today. For me, I was privileged that President Lungu, on all meetings that he held with those that were sent by President HH to him to discuss about his return to active politics, I was privileged to be among those he would call to discuss his matters. It wasn't just President Koroma, it was President Kikwete. Later on, it was General Obasanjo. Later on, it was the church that actually put it in writing that I would want to spearhead a process to which President HH and President Lungu would reconcile. And President Lungu directed me and other colleagues to say, can you pin down or pen down the issues that would want HH to address before we can even talk about going to the table of reconciliation? Because I don't have personally issues with him. What I have are basically issues to do with the governance of this country. Even in his death, he could have possibly compromised, and that's what I think needs to be appreciated. If it was just about him being restricted or stopped from going for medicals, about his wife having those charges which are trumped up charges, his daughter, his sons, and other people, and the properties they wanted to grab from him, if it was about that, he could have cut a deal when former President Nkrumah came, when former President Kikwete came, when General Obasanjo came, or indeed when the church offered. But he declined to ever have a private meeting with President HH because he was more concerned about the general welfare of the people of Zambia, including leaders of PF who were being sent to jail on trumped-up charges, whether it was Chirangwa, whether it was Chitotela and the group over the so-called Ason case, which was concocted by UPND, and there was evidence to that effect, whether it was Bowman Lusambo and others who have gone to jail purely on trumped-up charges. That is what he was concerned about. Even now, as we speak, and the people are desperate to try and use the funeral to cleanse themselves, the family are just upholding the conviction and expression of the former president to say, we can only accord you the honor of hosting this funeral as a government if you respond at least to the issues for which he sacrificed his life and was really willing to even go to the grave for as long as these issues were still on the table. That is basically the discussion, Ambassador Mwamba.
Oh, wonderful, SG, wonderful. Clearly, the man can't be trusted with any agreement. This is a man that has broken most of the campaign promises that he made. So it's not expected that he would honor the agreement that he made with President Edgar Lungu and the pledges he made. And although he boasts that I'm the only one that hasn't lifted the immunity of the former president, and he cites everyone from Frederick Chiluba to President Rupia Banda. Of course, a matter that is not true. We can delve into those details later. What is the state of the country? You've somehow touched on it briefly, but what is the state of the country?
Unfortunately, Misaka Ndechilema is, like you have indicated, he fraudulently found himself in the office of president because of the fact that outside propaganda, lies, and all those things that he pronounced, which clearly he never believed in. Somebody must have advised him that politics is dirty, you have to use dirty tricks and so on. A philosophy that has been sold to cheap and unserious politicians, and they buy into it. He seemed to have bought into the idea that you have to present, something that will excite people. Today, all of us have come to agree and accept that whatever HH pronounced in opposition, he didn't believe in it. He has not even pursued, not even one of his promises vigorously as a way of wanting to, honor and fulfill his promises. The state of the nation, Ambassador Mwamba, is that the same fear that Zambian people had around Hakainde Hichilema, looking at his history, his involvement in privatization, his involvement in many other things. People feared that he could be associated with white-collar crime. Today, Ambassador Mwamba FIC has reported, and the Trend report is reporting that there has been illicit losses of finance to a tune of 140 billion kwacha. You and me know, having been privileged to serve in government, there is no way we can have 140 billion kwacha leave the country without the knowledge of the state waste you, the president. Whether that money is going through ukwa bags, as they say in West Africa, or the money is going through bank transfers, the state will definitely know what is going on. For us to having discovered these flaws and the loss of such kind of money through a report called the FIC report, Financial Intelligence Crimes Report, only goes to show that this is a state orchestrated crime. A state orchestrated crime. In simpler terms, I'm not talking to technocrats because technocrats already understand, they have read and so on. I don't have to educate them again. I'm talking to our people in Zambia, the owners Zambians. 140 billion by UPND, they are boasting that they are giving each constituency per year 36 million kwacha. If you divide 140 billion kwacha by 150 constituencies, is coming to somewhere around 850 something million kwacha, Ambassador. If you divide 851 million or 51 or so million kwacha by 5, is bringing you to about 170 to 80 million kwacha. While it's the highly pronounced CDF allocation per year of 36 million kwacha, if you calculate it by 5 years, is coming to about 150 to 160 million kwacha. That is for 5 years. When that allocation is supposed to be a 1-year allocation per constituency. So when you look at the percentage, in this case, if we are really a serious people and those who are in government are serious in wanting to improve the welfare of the Zambian people, does it make sense that money stolen is over 100%, 150% more than the money that is being allocated for development? That speaks to the state of the nation. It speaks to the state of the nation. Ambassador, when the UPND got into government, few months, almost a year down the line, we were, subjected to some dramatic situation of about $80 million sent to some country, and when it was discovered, the explanation we got from government is that it was mistaken and sent to a wrong country, other than the country it was supposed to be designated. And are you sure we can buy that story? The theft of drugs that were bought by the American taxpayer, it had to take the American ambassador Gonzalez to review a report that speaks the investigation and forensic audit that was undertaken to demonstrate that drugs that are essential for saving the lives of many Zambians in relation to HIV, in relation to some of these critical diseases that the American people and other stakeholders and cooperating partners have been supporting Zambia in that particular sector. Drugs have been stolen within a short space of time that UPND have been in government. That speaks to the state of the nation. The blood-shedding issue, Ambassador, that Mr. Nakinda was singing about day by day when he was in opposition, even comparing Zambia to Dubai, that uses nuclear, power to, provide, energy in their country, which technology we don't have and we're still discovering in terms of minerals in that regard. But trivializing the whole issue, today the many hours that the Zambian people are subjected to in relation to lack of power and lack of energy, that also speak to issues of the economy, is speaking to the state of the nation. The UPND, when it comes to governance, and we discuss the judiciary, today I feel for one who was highly respected before, Mwamba Marira, who is now Chief Justice, when he was Attorney General, twice I think he was Attorney General, highly respected. His name is going into the sewer because he's associated with this government that does not respect the rule of law, neither do they respect the sacred institution called the judiciary. We have seen judges and judicial officers, removed from their post, like basically, people on the market. The whole system that is supposed to protect the tenure of office for those who are in the judiciary has been compromised. UPND members, UPND cadres have been appointed, and those associated personally or in terms of family to the president have been appointed in strategic positions to advance the bid of the president. Look at the removal of the DPP, Lilian Sioni. Look at the removal of judges like Sanden Konde, the removal of judges like Joshua Banda, the removal of judges like Kateneko and others. When you examine, it is all politically motivated. Look at the removal of constitutional court judges because there was a case that has to do with the eligibility of Edgar Chagwa. That speaks to the state of the nation. Where we are, Ambassador Mwamba, there is no patriotic Zambian that will find sleep with this regime in office and be able to go and say it is business as usual. Where we are, we need extraordinary men and women who believe in Zambia, believe in the future, and they are persuaded that something must be done about it.
Yeah, clearly the state of the economy is worrying. State of governance is worrying. State of institutions is worrying. We have a nation in crisis. When we come back, the opposition are looking at you as a solution. The Patriotic Front is the largest opposition party, and it has suffered the biggest attacks to attempt to destroy it, to disperse its leadership, and to put it in disarray. The late president made a lot of efforts to unite the opposition. I want to understand if you are going ahead with those assertions. I'll just take a brief break and I'll invite you back.
If you voted for him, but you're also feeling the pain, I hope you do your best to see it never happens again. Those who voted for change must have now realized that the president they voted for has kept this country paralyzed. If you voted for him, but you're also feeling the pain, I hope you do your best to see it never happens again.
How can you allow somebody who has murdered your son or your daughter and you are still mourning to come and attend the funeral and be made to speak at the funeral?
But how good your son
was. And you know about it, you say, wait a minute, what's happening? And I think I can just say the whole thing, I summed it up when I spoke to one guy. I said, because how can you, Ambassador, a Catholic, be remembered in a Jehovah's Witness hall?
Yeah.
International community. I just want to give you an update of where we are concerning the case of the government of the Republic of Zambia and Esther Lungu, together with other 7 respondents. As you be aware that the case was heard, the parties argued the case on 4th August 2025. After the arguments, the court gave the timeline when judgment would be delivered, and the court had indicated that judgment would be delivered not beyond Friday, 8th August 2025, or Tuesday, which was 5th August 2025. I'm happy to let you know that finally we have gotten communication from the court that the matter has now been scheduled for judgment on Friday, 8th August 2025 at 11:30 hours. That's 11:30 a.m. Tomorrow. We are grateful for that. And so let's keep our ears to the ground so that we can hear what the judgment will be. I'm very much conscious that parties are anxious to know what the result will be. But what is important, whatever will be the outcome of the judgment, let's continue respecting the deceased. What is being looked at the end of the day. Whatever happens tomorrow, at the end of the day, are we going to give President Lungu a decent burial? That is what our concentration will be. At the end of the day tomorrow, when the judgment is given, I don't think there will be a winner and a loser, but the court will just be giving.
And there's a message I would like to deliver here. At that point, as a cabinet minister, together with many of his colleagues, decided that after the constitutional amendment of 1991 to allow for multipartism and the term limit where the president will only serve 2 5-year term maximum, the president then decided to amend the constitution to go for a 3rd term. And Axon Sejan, together with others who were in cabinet, including sitting vice president, General Tembo, former vice president, General Mianda, Sejan, so many in cabinet, I think there were 20 or thereabouts, decided to break away from the desire of one person to amend the constitution. Actually, left MMD. I followed the life history very carefully when it was being read. He left MMD to fight for the maintenance of the 1-term limit and therefore democracy, consequentially freedoms for the young.
There you are, President Nakacinda at the funeral and church service of the late Minister of Local Government, Axon Sejani, spoke of the heroism of Axon Sejani in defending democracy, the rule of law, and the 2-term limit for president. He spoke like someone who also fights for democracy and the rule of law. But see where we are. See where the Patriotic Front is. Just pick up the conversation from there, SG.
Namushura Mwamba, I've been trying to be a little diplomatic because when you're talking to a diplomat, you are compelled to try and fit into the jacket. But I think I'm getting a little agitated. You bring Kabesha. Kabesha is a UPND cadre. Kabesha was even vying to stand under UPND in Stumbeko constituency. He applied, he didn't just succeed. And today is the Attorney General of the Republic of Zambia. Before we talk about the current case he's handling about ECL, this is a man who has signed the consent judgments over things that should never at any time grace the judicial corridors of our country. People who were on Nole, those who were arrested over the treason case with HH, today are boxing into rewards of millions of kwachas and so on because they are being rewarded politically regardless of what the law says. So when you hear Kabesha speak, he's speaking politically, he's not speaking as a professional in terms of being a lawyer. When you talk of I was watching as you presented Nakinda Hichilema trying to tell a narrative about Sejan. Sejan is one of those who are singing tribal sense. In one vein, they want to present him that he was fighting against the third term, when in fact, the third term issue was just being opportunistically used. The real fight was a tribal fight because Mazoka found himself, in a bad light with the MMD at the time. And the traditional leaders in Southern Province were gathered to go and pronounce that if Mazoka is expelled, or the fact that he was expelled, therefore it meant that a particular region has been isolated politically. They didn't look at it from a personal perspective. And Sejan, it is on record, is one of those who proposed in later years that Nakinda Hichilema should take over the leadership of UPND because only a Tonga can become president. Katwamba no tuyoaga hindwa mo. Today, to come and try and give us a narrative about Sejan, that he was fighting for democracy and so on, among the people who planted the seed of tribalism in the Republic of Zambia in relation to UPND is that man, my uncle, called Sejan. So if we are moving forward, one of the things that have polarized our country under UPND and under Mr. Nakinda Hichilema is ethnic and tribal sentiments, which all of us are ending up suffering from. That is the situation that we are dealing with. So if you look at the state of the nation, as you had asked the question earlier, it's not just about issues to do with the family of the President Lungu, issues to do with the party that has been hijacked, and today we can have even a society misfit like, Robert Chavinga, being called president, not by anybody else but Nakinda Hichilema. Even assigning, Robert Chavinga to undertake criminal activities in Zambia and in foreign lands, as reviewed by his own audio, which was leaked a few days ago, implicating Mr. Nakinda Hichilema and the UPND squarely. What was even more saddening is the fact that there was also an extension to one of the security wings, which is very sensitive, the one that has to do with the office of the president. That is the situation we are found in. So when Zambians are talking about our way towards 2026, they must be able to appreciate the magnitude of the rot that we are faced with. Ambassador, knowing you and your passion and patriotism for the country, you would not have been broadcasting in foreign lands. You are talking to a comrade who have spoken at personal level around our country and so on. I have more than 23 cases in court. I am faced with a conviction on my head, having exposed the fact that there was an orchestrated scheme to try and interfere with the judiciary. With the revelation not only of Levin Goma and the other young man at State House, Christopher Mundia and others, through the evidence we presented in court, today Chavinga has been able to vindicate me that the judiciary has not been spared. It was a subject of political manipulation so that people can be able to advance their political interest to stay in office and quiet, the voice of the opposition, which is basically evident in our country. So when we are discussing all these things and you are showing me those videos, I'm wondering if we are really going to cure issues as we go towards 6, we must all be serious around what has invaded the country, the issues that are we are faced with, which are destroying the foundation that Kenneth Kaunda left us with, that Dr. Chiluba left us with or enhanced, that Mwanawasa attempted to also contribute and enhance, and other presidents. But under UPND and Mr. Nakinda Hichilema, we are fast going back to the ills that led us to fight for independence, fight for the liberties that we thought we could enjoy. But this time around, they are evading us because we are not understanding what we're dealing with. And I'm appealing to Zambians. Where we are today, Ambassador Mwamba, we are faced with a dictator that needs to be stopped before the situation become, bad to worst, to a point where correcting it should take many decades before things can normalize. That is what we're dealing with today. I am just saddened that today I can listen to a story talking about, not that it's personal, I respect my uncle. He was one of those who fought for multi-party democracy, but unfortunately, he fell at the first temptation to go tribal, and he even verbalized it openly, publicly, and that is Uncle Sejani. He's my uncle, but I can tell you that he failed on that score to even be on record today that he can propose a leader, not based on the qualities that that leader brings to the table, but propose that leader because he belongs to a particular tribe. That is what has damaged even Nakinda Hichilema's image, and we should not be shy to call it what it is.
SG, the matter you bring, the younger audience may not be aware, probably you have to recast it properly. In 2006, following the illness of the late President Anderson Mazoka, he died in South Africa. When he was put to rest, there was a succession dispute. From the funeral, I think there were heated emotions. Even to the run-up, Bob Chinga has done very well to have explained, because he was vice president and Sakwiba Scotta was vice president, and I've been privileged to host them. On that particular matter, you remember even during the funeral, the hostility was so high that VJ, who was chief government spokesperson and minister of information, was beaten to pulp by the cadres. And VJ has never healed really from, for his, I think it's his left ear. But it was during the succession battle in the UPND where a few people, Rex Intana, Axon Sejani, Siache Madienku Kwandingande, Mwanajiti, were seen to have promoted a tribal agenda. And the newspapers are there, I can flash them here, that Elozi, the vice president at the time was Sakwiba Scotta, first vice president, and was vying for the position of president. And he was gathering serious momentum, but he was stopped by this group. Axon Sejani, may so rest in eternal peace, has marred his beautiful career as a parliamentarian and as a minister under Dr. Chilwa local government, and even the work he did in 2001. He has marred, we don't talk about the dead in bad light, but they've put him to rest, so I think we can talk about it. He has marred his career by those tribal remarks in 2006, when they were thrusting in, and people didn't know Nakinda Hichilema and the role he could have been playing in the background of either financing the party and his relationship with the UPND. So Rex Intala, Axon Sejani, Ngande Mwanajiti, and Siache Madienkuku perpetrated this tribal agenda that Sakwiba, who was Lozi, couldn't be president, and they wanted the Tonga because that they presented was the wish, like it was the right of the party, like it was founded in Southern Province. Now, the tribal talks aside, the failure is on President Nakinda Hichilema to condemn those tribal remarks. He didn't condemn them in 2006. When he came into office, he rewarded Axon Sejani with a lofty position of local government service chairperson. Of course, Axon Sejani is entitled to a state funeral. It's not accorded, it's not a discretion, because he was minister. But there was a great attempt at that funeral to sanitize and correct history. And that's why I provoked you with that video.
Ambassador, I see people like Rari Moetwa and others today who, when we highlight the failure of Nakinda Hichilema, want to suggest that no, the reason for which people are condemning the governance and mismanagement of Nakinda of this nation is because it's Tonga. First of all, ndimu Tongo kwene. And from the start, knowing Nakinda as a person, I have opposed his leadership because I knew the damage was going to cause to this country from, first of all, the economic front, governance issues, including issues of unity. And when he was sworn in, just the display at Hero Stadium with that bodyguard from Beijing, people may not have paid attention. It spoke to the fact that we have a president who is not, willing to adhere to the norms and bureaucracy and practice of the office he was occupying. The way he received the instruments of power, the way he inspected the guard of honor. Hence my basically launching the binoculars to say we are in for drama, and it has been drama after drama. Today we're talking about who's not in state house but staying in community house, regardless of the dangers that whole process has posed to the community around where he's staying. People who have died, including police officers, and all that. Ambassador, today, to even suggest that the failures of Nakinda must now be construed or interpreted as those who are opposing him to be opposing him because he's a Tonga is basically a dangerous trend. By now, Rani Mweta should have been arrested, looking at the current law, because he's basically being tribal in his assessment. Nakinda, like you have quoted and said many times, has failed because as an individual who is a Zambian, who was seeking to serve as president, has been given an opportunity to serve as president and he has failed. And he also speaks to us who are in opposition. What attitude should we have in dealing with this person who himself as a person, and also looking at the history of UPND and what we have discussed over Sajani, Natara, Madiankuk and others, which speak to the history of this organization, who are tribal in their approach to these matters. We have to approach these matters from a nationalistic point of view. And that's how come, personally, I want to be many other in opposition, have taken a stance that if we are going to march in unison towards 2026, we must never allow ethnic or tribal sentiments to ever invade our discourse. We must have a discourse that is talking from a point of patriotism, nationalism, as well as Pan-Africanism, so that we can be able to advance the interest of all Zambians, but also the interest of the continent. Because this crop of leaders that are in the category of Nakinda are not enemies to their countries. They have also proven to be enemies to the continent. In the region, SADC, we have heard public pronouncement from government that they are making efforts to try and amend our relationship with Zimbabwe. When did we start having problems with Zimbabwe? Save for the fact that the Nakinda has been able to mess up with our very long-standing good relationship with Zimbabwe, because we are Siamese twins, as it has been pronounced in time. We have been on the same page for many years, save for this time when Nakinda decided as president of the UPND to entertain the idea of introducing an American military base, in the form of AFRICOM, which has become a threat in the region. It's not only Zimbabwe. If you come to Ska, it's a topical issue. You go to Mozambique, go to Botswana, though Botswana at some point also seem to have been attaining a similar outfit and so on. So I think we need to be realistic in analyzing what we are dealing with. Mr. Nakinda is a danger not only to the present circumstances of our country, but is also a danger to the future if he continues to be in office. He is being judged as an incompetent Zambian person who sought for that office, and he has failed to manage himself, manage the presidents, manage the country, and it has been, whatever he has done has been to the detriment of the interests of this nation and the interests of the continent. And we are saying in 2026 he needs to leave. But the greatest indictment or responsibility or demand is on those of us who are in opposition, because he has done everything to try and prevent his exit, because he has also seen that the Zambians have resolved he must leave. He's tampering with ECZ. He's trying to change the rules of the electoral rules. He has appointed cadres in ECZ, from the CEO to the commission, so that he can be able to have an upper hand to manipulate elections. His pilot project is through the by-elections. Whether you talk of Kawambwa, you talk about Kwacha, you talk about Kabushi, you talk about Pambashe. He attempted, of course, in Petauke, we tried to retaliate and fight, but I can tell you it's a very expensive exercise. You have seen what he has done in Rumezi, what he's attempting to do in Fuwe. So this all thing put together only places a demand on all of us that I think we need to wake up to the reality of the monster we're faced with, so that we can prepare ourselves away from personal interests, political interests, but to save the interests of the majority Zambians, and the decisions, as well as whatever processes we undertake in terms of how we organize ourselves for 2026, must be able to answer to the demands that Zambian people are talking about.
Thank you, SG. Thank you. I was looking for that newspaper, Googled it quickly and put it there. So you will see the remarks by Rex Natala, and you see the remarks on top there by Sejani. So Sejani there said Southern Province won't be cowed into silence, over UPND succession. Then Rex Natala says only a Tonga must replace Mazoka. Now, those were dangerous remarks. My point is that President Nakinda Hichilema has never bothered to condemn those remarks. He never distanced himself from the succession process that birthed him as president. He's never bothered to apologize. In fact, he rewarded Sejani. Sejani, who will be remembered for another matter, is the one that militarized and brought UPND into violence. You remember the Mampatizia formula? When there was a by-election in his constituency, he devised what he called the Mampatizia formula. So no government vehicle was allowed, no minister was allowed, they were stoned. It was one of the most violent and bloodiest by-election we've ever witnessed. It's called the Mampatizia formula, birthed by Axon Sejani. So there was a great attempt by President Nakinda Hichilema to clean that. He hoped that we would forget. He hoped that the internet will not remember. He hoped that there will be no people like you and me who remembers the history.
This country was a one-party state for many years. And I see the faces in here. Many were young. They have no understanding what a one-party state meant or means. Maybe that's why the young generation must read a little bit, so we can protect this democracy that we have. We had an election in 1988. The next election should have been 1993. I hope my figures are correct. I see Dr. Peter Machungwa there. I think my narration is correct. The next election 5 years after should have been 1993. But the people of Zambia decided that they were tired of a one-party state, where largely freedoms were taken away from them. At our time in university, as undergraduates, students, you never talk to your roommates, two of you. Those days, university roommates, rooms were occupied by 2 students. I never spoke to my roommate about politics because I wasn't sure whether he was what we called them as SBs. Because in 2 people, one of them possibly is an informer in a one-party state. So you never talk to your colleague in the roommate. Maybe after 2-3 years, then you gather courage to talk to your roommate about your freedoms. So a number of young men and women after 1998 election decided that enough was enough. And Sejan was one of those. As you heard from the life's history, he was still just a young professional, only married in 1989. And 1990, Sejan left basically what you may call public office and joined politics together with.
My interest here, Jim, was the definition of a one-party state. Clearly, President Nakinda understands what a one-party state. Tyranny, dictatorship, people can't speak, they fail to express themselves, they are held in suspicion, you don't even know who to trust. However, he doesn't seem to be aware that he has fostered the same conditions that existed during a one-party state.
You see, he plays to the gallery like that. You are talking to a person who's a victim of Mr. Nakinda's abuse and weaponization of the police. 2-3 weeks ago, I had an interview speaking to the funeral of President Edgar Lungu. And when President Lungu died, a few days later, we engaged into discussions with government through AIMBE. And in our discussion, arose the issue of the fact that the family was still considering issues to do with post-mortem and so on. And I happened to feature on one of the South African, television, platforms. And they were asking about the timing and the calendar. And then I spoke to the fact that, the family has decided, they are still consulting. They think that some expert from Europe or the UK will come and undertake a post-mortem and so on. Do you know what happened in Zambia? I was summoned, threatened to be arrested. Actually, I was warned and cautioned, which is the procedure in Zambia, a step before you are arrested. I have over 23 cases, all of them related to me challenging this government over their abuse of one institution or the other. I have gone to court to a point of me facing jail for challenging Mr. Nakinda when there has been clear attempts to interfere with the judiciary and judges. And today I can authoritatively speak because Chavinga has been able to help us understand the mode of operation in UPND. Chavinga speaking to a cabinet minister and saying the only way we can resolve these matters is that a judge, Aningro Kudiamo, meaning that they need to give that judge some money so that they can be able to make a particular decision. And the cabinet minister was basically cooperating and even excited to hear that particular suggestion, which speaks to the fact that this is the mode of operation. When we challenge such things, it's not Chavinga that will be arrested. It will be Nakinda that will be arrested. If we don't gather courage as a people and as Zambians to challenge these things and be able to take action against this, clear, calculated, orchestrated move towards eroding our democracy and reintroducing a one-party state under Mr. Nakinda, including the attempt of Bill 7. The attempt of Bill 7 to amend the Constitution is meant towards taking us to one-party state. But he plays a game where he tells you one story, but he does the opposite. The family to President Lungu believed the secretary to cabinet and the people he came with and they committed themselves to certain conditions around the burial of President Edgar Chagalungu. I personally told Makebi and the family, the First Lady, that this man you are trusting, he may not be able to implement those things that you're talking about. If you want to believe Aka in the Ichirema that he has done what he has committed, he must do it before you implement. If you implement, and after you have implemented or agreed to what he's suggesting, he will change on you. Before we could go far, the program which they announced, first of all, there was an issue of the body being kept at Chifwema from the airport. The government decided, as a way of tricking the family, they decided to close the road from Crossroads all the way to Chifwema, suggesting that they are doing repairs. It was the first sign. Next thing, the whole program that they announced also spoke to the fact that this funeral will actually be presided over by Misaka in the HRM. There were even threats from security wings that when the body lands in Zambia, the security wings will take over, nobody will have any say. If PF decides to do anything, they'll be dealt with. Those sentiments came, only speaking contrary to what the government was committing through Secretary to Cabinet and the delegation he was leading in South Africa for negotiations. That is the kind of leadership we have in Zambia. Now, why are we describing and exposing the UPND and Mr. Aka in the HLM in this fashion? Because many times we are indicted and suggested that we only condemn, we don't have solutions. First of all is that Zambians must understand the problem at hand so that they can walk with us towards the solutions that needs to be pursued for this country to be normalized. If we don't describe the problem or don't discuss the problem at hand and all of us understand it, it will be difficult for us to prescribe a medicine or the solution for the problems we are faced with. In this case, Misaka Idechinema, who is he?
The state of the PF. Where is the PF right now? We were greeted with a good announcement that matters had been settled. We saw Honorable Maus Sampa, Honorable Maus Waria Sampa, graced with a good picture with the late president. Further, we saw you appointed him as a leader of the opposition in parliament. Things were patched up. And you incorporated some of his members into the central committee. Matters were resolved. Consent judgment was agreed upon and deposited in court. It's been 5 months. Where are we with the PF? And then speak to the issue of Tonse before we go to the proposed solution for the opposition. Then we open phone lines.
Zambia, we run a judicial system which is an adversarial system, meaning that the court is moved by parties. The court doesn't move itself. It's different from South Africa, it's different from other jurisdictions that run a different type of judicial system. So to that effect, the matters, when we say adversarial, it means that people have to differ, and anyone who feels aggrieved enough to a point where they need a third party to mediate or to decide who is right or wrong in the matter will move to now what is provided called the court or the judiciary to come and be able to resolve that dispute. So in this case, we had a dispute in PF. One of our members in the name of Umao Sampa did something that all of us collective did not agree with. And he attempted to impose himself as a leader. At least from my interaction and negotiations and discussion we had, he himself has admitted that when he was undertaking those activities, he was basically just being adventurous, thinking that he was being shortchanged, especially that to his activity he had been suspended. He thought that there was a move to disqualify him because he had expressed himself to run for presidency. Not knowing that that move would excite the UPND, and they took advantage of it. They offered him security and all those things that happened, which are in public domain. In our engagement, he himself said, I've come to realize that what I've done does not just injure PF, it also, by extension, injures the functionality of our democracy. And therefore, colleagues, I am, retreating to make amends. We reconciled, and our reconciliation led to a consent judgment, meaning that the two parties, including us who went to court to complain over the actions of Mao Sampa, and Mao Sampa himself, went to court and said we have reconciled. And we have agreed as follows. In an adversarial system, the court has no choice where two parties have agreed, but to sign and say, go and have peace. Strangely, even when we have been able to present a consent judgment in court, up to today that matter has not been resolved. It speaks only to one fact. The same way they use fraudulent means to change office bearers at registrar. Ambassador, you are aware that when Mao Sampa went and had what he called a conference, which is basically a sham conference, less than 250 people gathered at Mulungushi, when the Electoral College for PF, if we go by the provision of the Constitution, is slightly over 6,000 delegates that are supposed to go to a conference. He had less than 200. And Mrs. Mende, Tandiwe Mende, who was registrar of society at the time, said she, being the custodian of political party constitutions, she has seen that that activity does not qualify to even be called a conference, and therefore she cannot effect changes in terms of office bearers. What followed? She was brutally, removed from her office, and they brought a UPND cadre to act in her position, and they fraudulent change office bearers. And that person even went further to change office bearers when Mao Sampa realized that he had done something wrong and he wanted to make amends. They went and tried to impose Chavinga as leader of the opposition. Now, what Chavinga has said now and what he would have done and demonstrated in time past should worry every well-meaning Zambian. That if Pitamonga Vena Zambia, it's not child play. This is pure criminal activities that are embedded and undertaken within the government system, okayed and blessed by the highest office of the land. That is a symptom of a very dangerous situation that we're dealing with. So to try and be casual about it and look like this is just a political game and so on, we are being irresponsible while the country is being destroyed. And that's how come we are all, rallying everybody and calling upon all Zambians, let's interrogate what's going on and be patriotic enough and courageous enough to challenge the status quo so that we can be able to find solutions. Ambassador, effort to create a government in Onshita, we have more or less a resemblance of a mafia assembly of colleagues who have taken over the reins of power, and they are using their mafia tricks to perpetuate their stay for their benefit. Because when you look at the economic side of things which the benefit they have gotten at a detriment of ordinary Zambians, you can never imagine that a man with a conscience, a woman with a conscience would even go to sleep and find sleep when the money that has been externalized, the amounts that have been mentioned, they could actually, happen under their watch without any of them resigning. And look at the people who have been protected. In a normal circumstance, Ambassador, Masebo would not have been in government today. Under normal circumstance, this guy called Kapala would not have been in government today. Under normal circumstances, fellow who is now energy minister would not have been in government today. And I can go on and on. Most of the ministers today under Nakinda would not have been in government today. Even Mr. Nakinda would have on mono grounds resigned already by today if these are people who look at the interest of the nation to be P1 or priority number one. But because they have come more or less like it's a mafia regime, they are actually, after praying to the gallery, propaganda, even refusing facts that are presented to them, they go in their corner and actually give each other high five, celebrating that we have been able to sort them out. Hence their mantra is Mingarato. They are not only doing Mingarato to PF, they are doing Mingarato to all Zambians. And it's important for Zambians to wake up that what we are faced with is a dangerous regime that needs to be stopped in 2026 at all costs. Therefore, all of us who are politically active in Zambia today must rise above personal interests, partisan interests, and begin to advance the interest of this nation, especially the ordinary Zambians, so that we can find a solution as we go towards 2026.
SG, you are right. The happenings at the Anti-Corruption Commission are very worrying. A new board led by retired Supreme Court Judge Evans Amaundu was appointed. He himself, whose corruption allegations have not been cleared, they were leveled against him at the JCC, and they were reported to an institution in our heads. And a former UPND aspirant is now the Director General at the SEC. But what has happened is the acting Director General at the time, who was a Deputy Director General, Monica Mwansa Chipanta, has been removed. She's the one that named that there are 5 ministers under investigations. She's the one that named that there's a provincial minister under investigations. She's the one that made it clear that the Livingstone mayor was under investigations, that Tabo Kawana, he was in his capacity when he was director at Ministry of Information and Media, was under criminal investigation. PS Western Central Province, Monakampwe, was under investigation. They've removed her. They've not only removed her, they've removed the Deputy Director General. They've removed the senior investigation officers, Raymond Chibonda, Friday Tembo, Milton Siakabea, and another set of 12. There is over 17 people that have been forced either to be removed, retired, or just fired. There has been a strong page to the people that exposed this corruption. I think they thought that because they were fighting the old corruption of the PF, that they also could fight a new corruption. So we need to worry. And then you have a Director General at the DEC who says he can't name the ministers that are under investigations. This is in light of the report that was, pushed by the United States, and Pricewaterhouse did that report. They've not surrendered it to Parliament. They have not surrendered it to the public. They've given it to law enforcement agencies. It's difficult for our people to have faith because the people that are handling this matter, like the DEC, Nelson Banda says, we cannot disclose who we are investigating, thereby showing like there's a cover-up. Clearly, there's no fight against corruption. Answer that question and maybe answer around Tonse, then we open phone lines.
Basically, you have summed it up. The rate at which people are resigning, and also the deliberate effort to page SEC. Those who are resigning are saying they don't want to have their career tarnished because what is happening, is unprecedented. Basically, they are tools to advance political interests other than being professional, whether investigating crimes and so on. Ambassador, I took keen interest in a matter that involved Mr. Stadimwari, who was defense, who was PS under defense. And I would go and attend the cases and so on. When I followed through, because first of all, that cases was a government-to-government arrangement, in the sense that the government of Israel decided to partner with the government of Zambia and provided certain amenities which I can discuss on this forum. When we went to court, generals were being called to be witnesses and they were refusing to testify. They said, no, I'm under oath, I can't speak, because when I look at the details of this, there's nothing that speaks to crime. And therefore, to ask me to speak to those, what followed is that just because this gentleman was to be used as a pawn to feed into the narrative that there was corruption in PF, there were instructions that can you enter no but rearrest them. Of course, at the end of the day, these matters have been discontinued. That's what happened, whether it was an issue to do with Mr. Mpoa and others. When you look at the conviction of certain people that are in court today, the law that they applied to have them convicted basically shifted the burden of proof from the prosecution to the defendant. It's like me saying, oh, the tie that you are wearing, I like it, but I think you can't afford it. And therefore, I go and report you to the police, they arrest you, then you have to come and prove to whatever. There's no report, leakage, or anything to the effect that where you worked, there was money that went missing. But just because out of envy or whatever, I suggest that your tie could have been a proceed of crime. That's what people like Bowman and others are suffering and are going to jail for. That is basically what is troubling even for those people at SEC. It is a well politically motivated, state-sponsored or castrated process to fight the opposition and destroy those that are seen to be politically potent to make the opposition thrive and remain strong.
Yes, Jim. Just a quick one. The President Edgar Lungu was very instrumental in putting the opposition together. He began to participate in what resulted into the United Kwacha Alliance. There was a new organization that was a breakaway from the United Kwacha Alliance called Tonse Alliance. You never formally resigned from UKA. You began to take an active role in Tonse Alliance. Where are we with the issue of uniting the opposition? How are you dealing with the United Kwacha Alliance, the issues around Tonse, and those political parties that are not part to either of these alliances?
I think the ideology that President Lungu was propagating among ourselves, and you are part of it, was that he was responding to the call by the Zambian people that we need to work together. Even when he himself as an individual and a political institution was commandeering a lot of political force in terms of numbers in opposition. He was alive to the fact that the Zambian people still required or demanded that the opposition needs to come together. I was privileged to serve him as Secretary General for close to 2 years and 6 months or slightly more. Every day I was required to report to him. Our intimate conversation politically were always around unity. They were always around the fact that if he himself did not end up on the ballot, what would be the best mode or criteria we can use to identify a nationalistic leader? He was not into, as a person, patronage and so on. There were certain individuals that he even had personal affinities, but he will always tell you that let them prove themselves. I went to Zambia. I ascended to presidency by divine appointment, but also by the affirmation and blessing of the people of Zambia. They all said, this is the leader. And he believed that a new leader should emerge. And I think I'm fully persuaded, as we go towards 2026, a leader must emerge outside personal interests, outside partisan interest, but a leader that will be an embodiment of the desires and wishes of the totality of the people of Zambia. because the enemy of the people has already been identified. What the people of Zambia do not desire has already been identified. The real issue is how are the opposition going to reorganize themselves? Are they going to be petty? Are they going to be politically childish? Are they going to be preoccupied with ego and all these issues? Or they will be preoccupied with finding a method, diplomatically and otherwise, to get everybody together. And then one person emerges, a woman or a man emerges that carries the aspirations of the Zambian people. So for me, being Secretary General of Tonse, being Secretary General of Patriotic Front, my preoccupation, having been privileged to interact with ECL and knowing his ideology and approach to leadership, I can only but pledge to the Zambian people and everybody that I'll contribute the bit I can to make sure that unit of purpose at broader level of the opposition, but of course systematically dealing with PF issues by making sure that the platform of PF is gotten, because what the UPND have done against PF cannot be accepted and should not be tolerated. We need to make sure that the rule of law prevails. We need to have the PF gotten back. And the democratic process should be undertaken within PF, to which a leadership will emerge, not only at presidential level, but at all levels. So that when we are coming to the party to deal with Tonse, deal with the bigger family of opposition, we are in order. Because for as long as within PF there's a bit of confusion, it spills over and begins to create confusion in the other facets of the opposition, which is critical for a united opposition. So God has to grant us the wisdom, not only me as Secretary General, but collectively. And the wisdom has to be for us to be honest to each other, because you can see that there are a lot of our people in Zambia whose ambition for presidency, can even connote being ridiculous. Because some people think that becoming president in Zambia for a political party or for the country is like an adventure in relation to walking in a park. It's like to become president is an adventure of walking in a park. When you are dealing with a dictator, you are dealing with a kind of totalitarian regime and brutal regime like this one. At personal level, you have to reflect and measure yourself. We don't have to speak to you. On your own, you should be able to say, Wane, I have ambition to become president, but not now. I have ambition to become president, but I think I would rather contribution to the unity of the opposition, not necessarily offering myself. And I hope that as we move forward and we continue to campaign for that kind of mentality and attitude among ourselves, we'll be able to generate consensus to which all of us will hang our egos, hang our personal interest, and all these things that have always hindered, a process of uniting as the opposition, and be able to say, for now, what is important is to deal with the problem beforehand, and the leader will naturally emerge. And Zambia, at every critical time, whether it was 1990, 91, leadership eventually defined itself. Even now, as we go towards 2026, leadership will define itself. What we all need is to deny ourselves of personal interest. If you have it and you are God ordained, you emerge. You don't have to force yourself. Leadership of imposition, like Mr. Nakinda Hichilema imposed himself, has always failed. But leadership that emerges as a result of God's ordination and the blessing of the people, they call you for duty, and there is a sense of accountability and responsibility they have always delivered. I think that's where we need to whip ourselves as a country first generally, but also as opposition.
SG, President Nakinda Hichilema and the UPND are boasting. First of all, even if President Nakinda Hichilema has broken the law, he's not respecting the constitution, he has not resolved the economic crisis, he has broken promises, campaign promises. He says there is no opposition. He's and the UPND are very clear in their narrative that you only have a year, because today is 7th August, we are going to elections, I think is it 13th August next year. We have only 1 year in which the opposition can come together, pick a candidate, flag bearer, and then run with the candidate. And from day one, from 2021, Ichilema appears to have been preparing for 2026, not to govern the country, but to win re-election. See what he has done at Parliament, see what he has done in the Judiciary, see what he has done with the ECZ. And coming to ECZ, can we go to an election with this set of commissioners? Can we go to an election with the current state of the ECZ? UPND is boasting that we've had about 110 by-elections and we are winning. Even in my comments, they are saying, can SG comment about Mfuwe because we are whipping the opposition in Mfuwe. When you hear these sentiments, what comes to your mind and what can you say about it? Especially the 1 year period remaining. After your answer, we ask you colleagues to pick the call, to make your phone calls and ask our Secretary General anything and everything.
First of all, Ambassador, I want to join those who hold the view that the main opposition is PF, the main opposition is that and that, those of us who are politically active. Yes, we are contributing, just like the church is expected to contribute, civil society and so on. But political parties are important because they are platforms through which the Zambian people express themselves when we go to the poll. But the real opposition for UPND is not PF. It's not any other political party. It's the Zambian people that are suffering today. We kept on saying when we were in government to colleagues, I was one of those on record saying the main opposition for PF was not UPND, it was the economy. And there were a number of things that we could have done to remedy the situation. UPND was just a beneficiary. As we sit here, Ambassador, the UPND are focused in the wrong direction. They think that the main opposition and the enemy of their stay in government is Nakacinda, is Rwinda, is that person, is PF, is other. That's misplaced notion. The real issue is the economy, are the issues that we're pointing out, the mismanagement of the country and so on, and the general, population of this country. If Zambians are dissatisfied, it doesn't matter the manipulation you introduce. Zaromis, at some point in her old age, she will fail to contain the pressure of Zambians. That McDonald Chipenzi, they consider as a strategist in ECZ, he will not be able to contain the pressure of Zambians when they resolve. This Aka in the HLM, apart from being vindictive and advancing retribution and being tribal and so on, is not as powerful as Kaunda. Is not as political astute as Chiruba. Is not as experienced as Rupia Banda. Neither was he as subtle and shrewd as subtle and shrewd as Edgar Chagalongo. He's the weakest candidate to actually defeat because he projects himself as one who has all the solutions, and everybody in the party and the system are paralyzed because they think they might engage them as a solution. But I can tell you from my little experience, this government, the only thing they can survive on is if we misconduct ourselves in the opposition by beginning to advance, divide and rule, personal ego, and beginning to look at each other as we compete democratically for certain positions, begin to treat each other as enemies. If we treat each other as colleagues, brothers and sisters, and that whoever is going to emerge as leader, we all unite behind that person and support them. Haka indechele mache pasan. Fiali chitikem 1990, fiali chitikem 2011, fiali chitikem 2021, fika chitikem 2026. And Zambians, when they resolve, it doesn't matter what you put in place as a way of wanting to manipulate the process to gain advantage. They always diffuse those machinations. They know what Nakinda is doing at ECZ. They know what Nakinda is doing with the Judiciary. They know what Nakinda is doing at Parliament. They know what Nakinda and all the appointments they are watching. They know when to act. And I'm not giving this as political rhetoric to give false hopes. It is reality that when the Zambian people find a viable platform for which their views and and will can be expressed, they go for it full throttle. And that's what our appeal is, that all of us collectively, let's give the Zambian people an opportunity to redeem themselves in 2026 by giving them a united platform of opposition political parties, opposition players, and the only one leader that the Zambian people themselves will put their weight and their blessing behind, and we should be able to go forward.
Thank you, SG. Let's begin to take the calls. Caller, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Don Oscar. I'm calling from Italy. Good evening, Honorable Nakacinda. Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Father Oscar
priest.
Mwanza from Italy. When we're featuring Honorable Given Luwinda, you issued what were called very controversial remarks. In your calling, I hope that you can either speak to that matter or clarify. It's very important, a man who holds a position you hold, a Catholic priest in Italy, there's something they were you probably spoke the truth, but there were concerns around the choice of words and what you spoke about. Maybe before you ask Honorable Nakacinda, just use the opportunity to clarify or say what you want to say about the matter.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good evening. And thank you very much, Honorable Nakacinda, for your exposition of your topic. Thank you so much. You are so clear. And Emmanuel Mwamba, thank you also for giving me this opportunity. I'd like to greet the Zambian people here in the diaspora, the Zambian people home. This is Don Oscar. I'm a friend of everybody. Emmanuel Mwamba, I think I am blessed tonight. I'm blessed tonight because you have given hospitality to Honorable Nakacinda, who is a Tonga. That's why I feel blessed. And I would like now to clarify probably what might be any misinterpretation from my colleagues. Some of my friends, I reckon that all the Zambian people are my friends because I'm a Zambian and I love Zambia. Zambia is my country. I've been pointed by Honorable Nakacinda because he was in government in 2021, 2020. Raphael Nakacinda was there in government, PF Secretary General in 2020, and you, Emmanuel Mwamba, you were in the Patriotic Front in 2020, 2021, before August. Now, maybe some people might have misunderstood what I wanted to say. I would like to clarify, and I hope my colleagues, my fellow friends from all the four corners of our country, Zambia, I have no preference myself. And when I was speaking last time, I was a little bit emotional. I have to accept this. There is a reason why I was a little bit emotional. So I'm not trying to justify myself. I would like just maybe to accept your invitation, Honorable Emmanuel Mwamba, so that maybe I can clarify to some of our colleagues and friends who might have misinterpreted my contribution. Here I am. You have on your platform Honorable Nakacinda, who is a Tonga. Honorable Nakacinda knows very much that I was on the TV Vakwetu with Dr. Elas Munsha, Chipakupaku, Lindebanks, Dr. Kasonso, Patrick Tijlufia, and many other, Dr. Barbara many other Zambian people, all of them, they were Zambian people. We came together because Honorable Nakacinda said that the problem maybe was the economic issues in 2021. I am going to add, on the economic issues, I will add the question regarding the cadres. The cadres was really, really terrible by that time. And the question of the cadres, the behavior of the cadres made me to come on board, because when I saw women being stripped off of their clothes, women being humbled, the students, the people at Kulima Tower, the people at the main station in Lusaka, and some other places, when there was some injustice, we called it injustice, and we were shouting against the Honorable Nakacinda. By Emmanuel Mwamba, you have Honorable Nakacinda on your platform. You are going to ask Honorable Nakacinda if he has ever thought I hated him. Your colleague on the platform, Honorable Nakacinda, we are here, we are all three. If at all he has ever felt that I spoke bad because Honorable Nakacinda was a Tonga, these things is just the question which is hindering our country, Zambia. Zambia, I've told you, I've stayed here in this country, in Europe, for more than 30 years now. You know, one of the things which was happening to me is this. They looked at my color. I was a black person, a young boy. The age was 5 years, goes and takes a lighter, gets the lighter, goes underneath the table in a family which invited me for lunch, and lit that lighter on my skin. So when he started burning my skin, I told the parents, look at your kid. He's underneath the table, he's lighting, he's burning my skin. So the parents were a bit furious, and I said, no, don't get furious, because the child is innocent. The boy is innocent. There's something that he's trying to find out. What was the boy trying to find out? He was trying to find out, this is a black man. Can a black man be burnt of fire or not? And we have gone, there are many examples that I can give to you, Zambians. I've gone through a lot.
Father, can you now move to quickly ask Honorable Nakacinda what your question could be? There are so many queues of callers, as you can hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to the Zambian people, me have nothing to do with the tribalism, racism, because I've gone to universities to clarify and to be a witness on the fight against racism, the fight against tribalism. Now, my question to Honorable Nakacinda is this. I hope, but Honorable Naimwe, you are not furious with me when I was against you in 2021. My question, we understand, Honorable, what has happened to you in the Patriotic Front as a political party. If the law is not going to give you back the party, are you ready to go and unite with other forces, other Zambian people? Because as you have said, the opposition of UPND are the Zambian people. Now, are you going to unite with other forces, Honorable Nakacinda?
Thank you very much.
You can answer to the Zambian people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was our first caller, Father Oscar Mwansapombo. As soon as I saw him on the line, I wanted him to clarify that emotive submission he made last time. A lot of people expressed concern, and I'm glad that he has used the opportunity to clarify. Okay, so now let's take the calls as they come in, and let's interact with Honorable. Oh, is my phone connected? Just a minute. One of my phones is not connected. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Ambassador, you are speaking to Patrick Mlenga.
Yes, Patrick Mlenga. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from England, from the UK.
Okay. Yes, make your contribution.
I'd just love to thank the SG for the good articulation of the points. But I just want to ask them something. For example, when you talk about the issue of the ongoing court cases about the PF in Zambia, and from the look of things, you well said that we only have about a year to go before the elections. Have the PF taken time to maybe engage the international community, maybe at the African level, for example, the AU or anything, or even the people that used to come to talk about the democracy in Zambia, like Patricia Scotland?
Have they
taken chance to take that route so that maybe we can see how things can go? Because from the look of things, the UPND are not willing to let the PF go. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
This is Kibombwe Gabriel, your fellow MCC.
Oh, SG, you are privileged. You have one of your members of Central Committee, Kibombwe, calling you. Make your contribution, my dear brother.
My Secretary General, good evening.
Yeah, he's listening to you.
Yeah, we never let our leaders walk alone. Secretary General, you have addressed critical issues. And I just wanted to add my voice to this subject. Specifically, issues to do with institutions of governance, as well as issues to do with the judiciary in Zambia. Secretary General, allow me to start by saying that relating to the matter of our late president, may his soul rest in peace, our government has gone out to the public, gone out to the world, and declared that in public interest, in the interest of the Zambian people, they are pursuing the matter of forcing the family of our late president to repatriate the body to Zambia, but also to go against his wish that the funeral be presided on by our incumbent president. The issue that draws me to this one, my SG, is the fact that we use the term in public interest. And looking at the matter that you talked about, the issue to do with what was really at the heart of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, the fact that his issue was to deal with how much democracy has been spoiled, has been ripped apart in Zambia by this government. I wanted to pose the question, where is the public interest in the matter of Zambia's largest opposition party, the Patriotic Front, with the UPND government? Has it not been a matter of public interest to the UPND government for the past 3 years that we have not seen justice delivered in the party that they have hijacked? But they have moved at lightning speed to go to the extent of suing the widow and the rest of the family in the name of public interest. How then does UPND define what is public interest?
Thank you.
Not of public interest?
Thank you, MCC. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think your point is very clear. Your point is very clear. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening. This is Lilian Mutambo. I'm calling you from the United Kingdom.
Lilian Mutambo, glad that you're on this platform. Make your contribution.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, Honorable Nakacinda. First of all, I would like to appreciate you for the courage and what you have been doing in South Africa with the family during the bereavement and the demise of Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. My concern is that President Hakainde Hichilema is very much obsessed with the Patriotic Front, and he doesn't want to see the Patriotic Front, form government next year. What are you doing as the opposition in terms of working together in unity, because I've seen other opposition leaders, going around to churches and, somehow campaigning, but we are not seeing you people working together. Are you going to come together? Because that's the solution that we're seeing. And as a diaspora, we are concerned about you people working in isolation. What is your plan as the Patriotic Front if Chavinga does not give you back the Patriotic Front for you people to stand on it for MPs and other positions? Do you have a vehicle that you're going to use? And are you certain that President Nakinda and his mafia regime will not give you cases that will put you behind bars? Because already we can see their mingalato is all over in terms of the people that we know have got credibility and they are strong. And I think there's even like a list of people that they are targeting. Honorable Nakacinda, if you are incarcerated tomorrow because already you have court cases, what are you going to do? What message are you going to pass on? Because you are a very strong figure, and certainly you are getting on the nerves of Hakainde Hichilema. Are you prepared? Do you have a plan B, which Dr. Edgar Lungu was telling us about? Was we are waiting. The whole world is waiting. The whole Zambia is waiting, and we're rallying behind you. I thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mwamba. This is Munkonge. Good evening, Nakacinda.
Mr. Munkonge, be brief, Mr. Munkonge, quickly.
Okay, thank you very much. First question, therefore, our SG. Baba isunge bese baske bushe na mutumwa na mkwatama na mama sozi. Amali sozi ya kwa tafuta ichiriro mwatandalira ma province not ba province mwatandalira ma wards ba kumana pa province mwaranda kona vena pantkare mwa kumere pona vena nangura mukabatandalira after ukusara Tonse alliance because na riesho kustako find out muma outskirts areas kale sana bapokerepo proper information what is going on about Patriotic Front. I think it's quite sana because Nakacinda balife winoro imbi pamulando wa tribalism bushemashu inshi mukwete before tamura werela kubantu bafyo mwaye bapo bakada after batureterera kubena Zambia because the main reason we were voting out from power because of tribalism. Now what measures have you prepared to avoid that situation? Because people, they can think like the cadres, they are still having the same mentality.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Wamunkonge. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
By Emmanuel, this is Kafwimbi, your colleague.
Oh, Mr. Kafwimbi from Australia. Yes, my dear brother. Make your contributions.
Yes. Raphael Nakacinda. I don't speak long on this program, and thank you very much. You always try to hide me, but today at least I can speak to Nakacinda. And Nakacinda, one, I have a lot of respect for you, my brother. You worked under my uncle. Uncle Felix Mutati. He's my uncle. You, Bari Mishamuka Kungu, Tefio. Now, let's not, I'm very practical, like situations, Nakacinda. Mishamuka Kungu, Mwasala, which is very respectful, Mwasala ko PF. And then you come and say, I was going back on the program, the enemy of PF was the economy. Was it the economy or was it the modus operandi or the operations of PF? Can we go back and look at what is bad and then not try and hide? Because once you do that, tukalondola le chalo. And if we work together, you've got one man, Emmanuel, one man, trying to pull all of you together. Can you, if you pull together, let's learn from history. Let's look at it. Let us learn. And then we see that it is not worth it, but it is worth Italo.
Mr. Kafwimbi, thank you very much, Makalamba. I think you've made your point.
Thank you. But it's okay.
Yes, thank you very much. Well done. Hello, please caller, tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Chanda Mlenga. I'm calling you from the UK.
Yes, Chanda Mlenga, tell us your name and make your contribution, sorry.
All right, thank you very much, Mwamba. And thank you, SG, for the wonderful words that you've spoken. My take is just to encourage you people, Mwamba and SG, on the job that you are doing. But I'll emphasize on the point that the opposition needs to unite. Because we've seen a lot of people coming up expressing their presidential ambitions, and we don't need that for now. We've seen how the Patriotic Front has been treated, how our MPs have been stripped of their seats. So what we need now is unity of purpose. Nakacinda, you are a very intelligent man. You've worked with ECL, and you know ECL's message was always unity for purpose. So please, I just want to encourage you to unite, and so that we can remove this terrible regime. We've seen what's been happening to the widow. We've never seen that in Zambia. So please, let's just unite and move forward as one. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Mr. Chanoda Ngwira, Ambassador. Greetings. I can't say good evening.
Hey, Chanoda. Good to see you, Mbuya. Make your contributions.
SG, good evening. I'm sure you are listening to me. My quick contribution is this. SG, you've shown resilience. You've shown the support for Edgar Chagwa-Lungu and the Patriotic Front, and we appreciate you. This I must say, and probably politically we might differ in one or the other, but the truth of the matter is that you've shown serious leadership, and we appreciate you for that. My concern is that, look, we have PF with structures in place, and we do not have PF on paper, meaning legally, we are on the losing side for the obvious imingalato behavior of Mr. Nakinda Ichilema. But I want to appeal to you, CEO, our Secretary General, that please, I think you've been seeing my posts and all that. As a party and as opposition, let's live below our shoulders and look at the bigger picture. And this bigger picture is unity. For me, I want to appeal to you as Secretary General that you are a good leader and you have managed the transition, although we are still in the process of the transition, so well. But I want to advise you, Honorable SG, that you guide us as foot soldiers. You tell us what's the way forward. I would want to say that, please, if possible, I know the UPND is not going to allow for us to go for a convention, but we can have a virtual convention. Let's put a leader for the Patriotic Front. And the Tonse Alliance constitution is very clear. A leader that is going to emerge as a PF president will definitely be a Tonse Alliance president, because that is very clear. We must be very clear about that.
Thank you.
So please,
thank you, my brother. Chanoda, thank you very much.
Let's make sure that we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from, and be quick.
Yes, good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Yes, I'm calling from Cobabelt. I'm Mundia now.
Yes, Mundia now. Make your contribution.
And I have a question and just a contribution. We have had one of the Tonse member who is KBF coming out to say Honorable Given Ruminda is not supposed to be the acting chairperson because there is Dr. Danny Pube who is the vice. So what is the stance of the SCG? How have they sorted out that? And then my other advice is, yes, you have talked the issue of tribalism in UPND, what, but I would encourage you to say, if you want to win the hearts of the people, avoid talking about the tribalism and the what, because you can talk about it today, talk, but people need solutions. People with all the economic hardship that they have, they look forward. Bring out issues that when you go out there, people will say, okay, now we have alternatives. Of course, the ruling party is saying there is no opposition because you people have dwelt much on talking the same people. You are even campaigning for them. Thank you. Okay.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Ambassador, this is Anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contributions.
Yes. So my contribution is in form of an encouragement to Honorable Nakacinda. Mr. Nakacinda, you have rightly put it to say every well-meaning Zambian at this particular point should be able to agree that the nation is in serious crisis. I don't need anyone needs to say it any further than that because we have seen it, be it political, economical, whichever way you can put it. We can agree that our current leadership will not go down without a fight. We have seen what UPND and HH are capable of doing. They recently tried to use that AI Chavinga to go and bribe judges in SA. That tells you what they're willing to do, even to stay in power. But do we want that? No. So what we are asking you, what we are stressing, we keep on saying this each and every day, Nakacinda, Honorable Nakacinda, please don't get tired because it is what we have seen. We already have people talking about going to stand as opposition leaders when we are talking about unity and people are coming out individually to say they want to stand. That is not going to be an easy fight and we don't need that. So we want to urge you, the opposition, please do not be used. Do not let yourselves be used. If you love our country, if you want to get our country back to normal, we urge you to unite because that is what we need. That is what we need for our country, Zambia. We only have one Zambia, and we're not going to have any more apart from this. So in Bemba, we have a saying where we say, "Apa komaila nondo ni shipadi ubulema." Ba Mwamba can translate that to you further. But we have seen what is happening in the opposition, and that is why we are stressing. We want the opposition to be one for the love of our country, because where our nation is right now,
Thank you very much.
It's going to be hard to get it. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you. I think your comment is very clear. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. Call me the Peacemaker.
Yes, Peacemaker. Make your contributions.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, let me appreciate that finally I've managed to get through. And let me give recognition to Raphael and also you, Mwamba, for hosting me. However, I want you to stress a bit. I think you and me agree, Emmanuel and Raphael, that you have stressed so much. Obviously, the issue of tribalism. And that gentleman who happens to be in Italy by the name of Oscar, I've forgotten the other name. I think what he said being who he is and a father, I think that's unacceptable. Let's call a spade a spade. And these are the things that you and I are not supposed to talk about. And based on that, this is why we, the Zambian, reacted. I think we don't need to go that route. If those things are happening now, it's our duty and our right to talk about them now so that they are not perpetuated. But now, following how, Emmanuel, you run your page and how you do things, I think you are not helping in as far as putting that aside or putting that to an end. Let us use a language that will be uniting, the language that will build the country. This is the only country that we have. Should we put fire on this country, it's not going to help you, neither is it going to help me, neither. In fact, if anything, you people will fly out of this country because possibly you may have the resources. The question is, what about me, an ordinary person from
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Caller, tell us your name and where you are calling us from. The phone is jammed. You are encouraged to be brief. I'll come and answer that one was mentioned about my page. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Benjamin Siwila.
Mr. Siwila, make your contributions quickly.
Calling from Lusaka, former Deputy National Youth Chairman for PF.
Thank you, Mr. Siwila. Make your contributions quickly.
Yes, a quick one. We have seen that there is a vacuum for next year's elections. And as many callers are putting across, they are calling on the opposition to be united. My question is the PF, which, just like Chanota said, which has found itself in some legal battles, are the leaders in PF willing to work with other opposition political parties within the Tonse Alliance to allow any of the Tonse Alliance members who may qualify to be presidential candidate and support that particular candidate? Is the PF willing to do that?
Thank you, Mr. Siwila. Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous. Make your contribution.
My question goes straight to the SG. Bwana Raphael Nakacinda. Question ya meni now is simple and straightforward. Si ole mamonga ni 50 kg ya cement. Bwana Nakacinda. Iteki nga maezi angati okuma mansi angati. Va magistrate over judge. Kwenda kufaka signature pali reconciliation yanu na wamao samba. Cause iyeve iwone kamonga simu ifa wako maningi nzeru. Ichindu ndecha menesha imika PF nga simu ziwaka. So, mukabwela ku Zambia after maliro waidika chagwa Lungu tashika. Yambani kupushing a first yamene before mukabe kushita vindu vili vonse. Cause ngati simu pushing a case ku court watu wali wafake po signature, which means muzati sogoneza ife wantu muzati sobesa. Cause na wamene just wamene mnapasa ma papers. Wamene safuna kusign pale ya ma papers. Mfunga muuze ngatashita vindu va wrong. Once the government changes, is going to face the consequences of law. I submit.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hey, good afternoon, Ambassador.
Good afternoon.
This is Anonymous from Houston.
Anonymous from Houston, make your contributions.
Just quickly, I just want to say I really appreciate all the topics that you are bringing to the people of Zambia. All the contribution that people have been making today are really valid. But I'm coming back with my submission that I made a while back. I don't think the PF is a good flag for you to fly under. I see you as a future prospect for our country. You just need to disassociate yourself from the PF. Keep doing this, like what you're doing, speaking up for the people of Zambia. We respect that, we appreciate this. Keep doing it for as much as you can. But what's going to happen after, I think, they put President Lungu to rest is going to be difficult. Don't even think about throwing your hat in the race, please. Take some time to yourself.
Thank you, my dear brother. I've got a dear brother from Anonymous from Houston, US. Every time he calls, he says I should keep away from the PF. The PF made me here. I was ambassador in South Africa under the PF, in Ethiopia under the PF. And belonging to the PF is not a crime. You need to respect multi-party democracy. The Republicans, my dear brother, where you are here, lost elections. They just go to regroup, look at their weaknesses and rebrand, rebuild. That's how democracies work. You win elections, you lose. If your last party did scandals, present yourself, allow the clean people to take over. That's my small lecture there. And on the one that says we shouldn't talk about tribalism, if President Nakinda is talking about tribalism, it's not an offense to expose his tribalism. That is why he has set up these laws. He doesn't want us to discuss and expose his tribalism. SG, I leave you to answer your questions. As you can see, Panoshira Diva, Amakozav, there are so many. So just quickly, Musupawire, Patali. I know everyone wants their questions answered, but be broad and general so that we can take another set of callers. SG, you are on.
Is it us or him?
You are on, SG. You are on, SG.
All right, thank you very much, Ambassador. You have loaded me with so many callers or calls, but I'll try and summarize. First of all, Father Oscar, he talked about cadres. I think we undertook practical steps of introspection through the postmortem committee led by Honorable Jane Kapata, and that is where the mantra of rebranding came from, because all these issues were identified, and I think Acting President Rebuttal, ably articulated on these issues. He was talking about us being furious and so on, about his discourse with UPND. There are many people who have regretted supporting UPND, and he should just be assured that in a democracy, you may differ today, but tomorrow if you find common ground and are able to be honest with each other, you work together for the common good of the he raised the issue of tribalism, and like you've said, Ambassador, we will not shy away in pointing out those things that can divide a country, whether it is coming from the ruling party, the UPND, or even among ourselves. Patrick Mlenga from England, he also raised issues of the court case, just like I think Anonymous did ask, can you fight for the consent to be signed? We are doing our level best and we're not neglecting. If there's a focus within the party, PF, to have these issues resolved, that's where our energies are. We are being let down, obviously, by what we have pointed out in terms of the judiciary being proactive. Somebody asked a good question. If Kabesha can even camp in South Africa around the funeral and is saying in public interest, how come we've not been able to emphasize public interest in relation to the main opposition in Zambia? Those are the questions I've consistently asked, and we're saying, even to Chief Justice Mwamba, I've personally written to him, others have written to him. The question of PF is not about Nakacinda or anybody else or individuals, Rwanda or anyone. It's about our democracy as a country. And Mwamba, Chief Justice Mwamba, State Council, his reputation and legacy is, basically indicted. It is actually in the court of public opinion to see whether he's going to redeem himself so that these issues can be dealt with. The international community, we keep on speaking to different stakeholders, cooperating partners, and I can only say one of the countries on the globe that is highly celebrated for being an example in terms of democracy is the U.S. Our relation from the time that we're non-aligned and all that with the U.S. has mainly been inclined towards, governance issues. And we think that Mr. Trump should be able to pay attention not only to some of the issues that have led to them putting some of these restrictive measures of 15,000 cash deposit before you get a visa, but to focus on issues of governance and be able to compare our government because of the fact that they are also dependent on the US and other stakeholders for certain areas of support. But just like they have always provided that support conditionally in time past, let it also be very clear that the issues we are raising around the governance, the deteriorating democratic space and the polarization of governance institutions are corrected. Ambassador, it's amazing that even when Chavinga has reviewed the criminality that was mandated or assigned to undertake in South Africa, for example, to come and hire surrogates to have press briefings and also to hire old women to come and at the court premises. Back home in Zambia, they are doing it in South Africa as a ruling party through surrogates. But back home in Zambia, remember how we were brutalized by the police whenever we went to court over PF matters or indeed the eligibility case of ECL. Double standard. They want to enjoy the freedoms in other jurisdictions when they're restricting freedoms back home. Lilian Mtambo, my dear sister, I know that you have been passionate. We have also interacted about some of the oppression and some youths that are being targeted. Let's continue holding hands and working together to make sure that the prevailing circumstances, we change them for the betterment of every Zambian. The funeral, and of course, the case we are dealing with, Mr. Munkonge, you are talking of resources to visit wards and so on. We have never fully dependent on resources. Even just the political will to visit has been there. But every time we attempt to visit the provinces and wards, what has been there is that the government has been agitated to stop us. But we are finding platforms like this one to interact with with the Zambian people and the public. But very soon, we will begin to make moves regardless of the consequences. Madam Tambo also asked me, what message do you have in case you are incarcerated? Change agents achieve what they are pursuing or the change, both when they are either incarcerated or outside. Ambassador Mwamba today is a change agent who has been oppressed and so on, and has found himself in the diaspora. Those in the diaspora will contribute from there. Those who are available and have not yet been arrested or incarcerated, they'll contribute where they are. Those who are in prison will also contribute where they are. The fight for freedom has always involved a different facets of inconveniences within those who are committed to liberate their country. Some end up in the diaspora, in exile, if you like it. Others end up in prison. Others end up, facing bullet and facing the brutality while they are fighting for those who are in prison. So each one of us must fight wherever we find ourselves. Whether you are in exile, you are in the diaspora, you are in jail, you are on the streets, wherever you are, we have to fight with what we have. So going to prison should never be a threat for a change agent or a revolutionary. So for me, all those threats that you'll be jailed and so on, they mean nothing. I have pronounced to everybody that if Mr. Hakainde Hichilema thinks that taking us to jail silences us, he is totally mistaken. If he, like others have suggested, that he will become deadly, his regime will begin to consider eliminating some people, I can only say that if they decide to go that way, even if they cut us into 1,000 pieces, each piece will still speak for justice and speak for the voiceless in our society. Mr. Kafuimbi from Australia, he was saying, don't hide facts. I worked with Mtati and so on. If you sat with Honorable Mtati, he will tell you that we dealt with each other honorably. When Honorable Mtati was dropped as minister, and at some point I was considered to replace him, I personally refused to take that appointment until I spoke to him and he gave his blessing. When he decided to go UPND, knowing UPND and knowing his philosophies, I told him, I cannot go with you because even if they won, you will regret being part of that government. Knowing Mtati, I don't want to embarrass him or anything like that. I want to believe that he's actually in an awkward situation to find himself in a situation where some of these issues are happening and is part of that. In terms of the economy, he was Minister of Finance.
SG, let's take another set of callers. Sir. Then you come and summarize. You put your last, then you give us your last word because look, it's very late. You are in Johannesburg. Your team needs to be safe. I need to release you quickly. So let me take the set of calls. Then you summarize and respond and give us your last.
As long as you don't take 20 calls, I hope you not take 20, 30 calls.
So just hold on, SQ. We take the calls. They are ringing everywhere. Right. They give us an opportunity. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from, and please be brief.
Hello, you're talking to Anonymous. Yes. Just my contribution. I just want to encourage all the opposition leaders that they should come together and actually with a unit of purpose to take out the thuggery government of the UPND. Look at what they have done the time they are in power. Imagine what they could do the coming time, because honestly speaking, they are not going to win on the ground, so they have prepared from the word go to rig the elections. So it is a call for the opposition as well as the Zambian people to work together to remove this government. We've never had anything of this kind in the history of Zambia. So I just want to encourage every Zambian, let's unite and ensure that we remove the current government of the thuggery of the UPND in office. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much, caller. Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador. Thank you very much for taking my call. My name is Anonymous. I'm calling you from the land of AI.
Yes, Anonymous.
Thank you very much for calling SG Nakachinda. I just want to quickly make my comments. I just want to say that there's no need to be protective of tribalism. I think let's not gaslight anyone who calls out tribalism or who calls out tribal politics. I actually don't understand the sense in condemning those who condemn tribalism. It just doesn't make sense. Secondly, in 2026, it will be unity or nothing. And I'm very, very happy that you have emphasized, SG, you have emphasized the need for the opposition to unite. I acknowledge the humility in PF to unite with the opposition to unseat this regime of abductions, of high cost of living, this regime of unconstitutional bills, this regime that sued a widow on burial day in a foreign country, and indeed this regime of tribal politics. It will take a united opposition to remove this regime. In 2026, it is unity or nothing. I thank you.
Thank you. Unity or nothing. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, this is Mwewa.
Yes, Mwewa. Make your contributions.
I'll make very quick questions. The first one goes to Mr. Nakashinda, especially on the affairs of the PF. This period, the whole of this period have been very much saddened by the happenings, especially the death of Mr. Lungu, and also what has happened to the Patriotic Front. Now, when you go back to the message which our president, the message he said when Mr. Sata died. You remember there was a bit of confusion there and then. But if you can allow me to read what he said. I don't know, Ambassador, can I read what he said? Hello?
My brother, quickly make your contribution. You can hear there is a queue of people and we are pressed on time.
Okay, thank you so much. Now I'm going to read what he said in 2014. Mr. Chirema noted that funerals are emotional affairs that can invoke incidences that can disturb peace and unity. And then the other thing is PF has done a lot to this country. And seeing it being grabbed like this, how do we protect the rigors of Mr. Sata, the rigors of Mr. Lungu, by making sure that the PF comes the way it is? Because it pains me when you look at the developmental projects that the PF has done, and yet this is a political party that is suffering in the hands of the few selfish individuals. The other thing is that what criteria must political parties use to select candidates to be avoiding situations of Venachavinga? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. There's a queue. Callers, please be brief to allow other people to speak. You know, with what is happening, our people really can't breathe. So this program provides an opportunity for them to air what they want to say. So be brief, but be considerate of others. Caller, tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you very much. This is Anonymous calling you from Osaka, Zambia.
Thank you, Anonymous. Make your contribution, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, SG Raphael Nakacinda.
He can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll proceed. I want to state that first and foremost, this is a masterpiece program for us who are living under this terrain, this dictatorship. This is a statement to this government that in the 21st century today, you cannot be having dictators in this country. Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, we thank you very much for the excellent work that you are doing. Well, having said that, I want to state that I've listened very carefully to the articulation of able articulation of our SG, and indeed he's on top of the issues. We are appealing to all political leaders to ensure that you come together. Like Muhammad Lungu rightly observed, it would be delusional for any opposition leader to think that he can stand alone in 2026 and win the elections. The things that are happening in this country are a clear message to any opposition in this country that they will have no any other way but to come together. SG Raphael Nakacinda and President Given Winda, Sean Tembo, and Muhawe Lungu, you are all on top of issues, and please, we as the people of this country are looking forward to you people. You know that this is not a time to flaunt your personal interests to selfish desires. You can't all be presidents at one go. Sit down, give us one leader. Our job will be to wake up 04 hours to go and put out this government in the next general elections. So please, we are appealing to you opposition leaders, ensure that you all unite, come together. All what we want is for you people to give us one candidate.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Given what is happening in this country, Mr. Raphael Nakacinda.
Your point is very clear, my brother. Thank you. They should give us one candidate. Your point is very clear. Let me take just some more calls. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Mkwai.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I think you must help us on this one. To be honest with you, when you've been hosting most of these opposition and political parties, they come there, whatever they say is different. Whatever they do behind somewhere else, that's why reality. I mean, half of them will not. Actually, what can I say? The they want to become presidents. We need a vessel. We need a vessel. Please, you can organize a vessel for us. You talk to the Oasis Forum to put everybody together, because power hungry, everybody wants to become a president, you know, and we can't go on like that. If we can just have somebody, I mean, among the political leaders themselves, sitting down together, there will be a big war, there will be a big fight. Let's have somebody, the church, another thing, also Forum, to put us together and get people to get one leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll give the callers after Honorable Nakacinda has left. I'm going to give you another 10 minutes to call in and vent and express your concern, and Honorable Nakacinda will be listening. Honorable Nakacinda, just speak to the callers that have so far called and then give us your closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you very much. I remember it ended that Mr. Chanda Mlenga from UK, yeah, he was basically giving us sort of encouragement, well done, and all that, unity, presidential ambitions, we need to manage them, and they must be measured. Like I said earlier, there are people who think that this is child play, and therefore they can, you know, just wake up and say, I want to be president. I want to believe that at some point, you know, amenshakadinganya na Nobunga. What I'll find is levels. Ngwira, I think from interaction outside what he has said at on this forum, I just want to assure him that we will not allow Tonse to break. We will not allow the cause of the opposition to come together to crumble. Our effort as Patriotic Front, even when we are misunderstood, for as long as our conscience and our drive is sincere and honest, we'll push for a united opposition, we'll push for a united Tonse, and where people are honest and respectful towards one another, we can engage and be able to find a solution to whatever subject or concern that rises. There should never, when you are fighting for a nation and wanting to bring about change, there should never be any subject that is too sacred for people to discuss and dialogue about. Even the issue of who would be the flag bearer for everybody, at some point it requires us some money maturity and be able to make propositions and the criteria that will help the process. As Secretary General for Tonse and PF, regardless of those who are posturing for presidency and so on, we are in a democracy that is permissible, but we will be able to provide guidance to make sure that at the end of the day, the correct thing is done. In PF, Mundia now, he was talking of KBF, about Tonse chairmanship and so on. Those are matters that will be resolved internally. I don't think it will be healthy for purposes of dealing with Tonse business to start discussing in public. I think it's best that we deal with our administrative issues privately and only present ourselves as a united force to the public. Tribalism. My dear brother and Ambassador Mwamba knows my personal position on this matter, and I've never shied away in time past, including now. One of the times that I encountered my brother Nakinda and he talked to me about, why don't you work with me to Zwadi Umonze? I told him that if the only value you see in me is the fact that I speak the same tribe with you and I'm your, then that I'll consider as an insult. You should be able to consider my intellectual capabilities and what the value I bring to the table. Not tribe, not ethnic. Policy I've advanced at any given time in my political life. I have learned that from Venon Mwanga, I've learned that from Mainza Chona, my uncle, I've learned that from Elijah Mdenda. There has been very good nationalist leaders that have emerged from Southern Province. And that's how come it will be an error at this particular point because of the conduct of Nakinda Hichilema to try and make Nakinda Hichilema's tribalism to become the embodiment of all Tonga-speaking people or the Zambezi region. And therefore, as a movement to liberate the Zambian people in 2026, let's not succumb to the temptation, especially the narrative advanced by UPND, to try and introduce tribalism in this movement of the people. 20 is about the movement of the people. PF will play a critical role. Other political parties will also play their critical roles, but at the end of the day, it's a movement of the people. We need to fight for our country, as it has been said by Anonymous and Peacemaker and Mr. Suwila. All of us must unite in fighting for the liberation of this country. Ambassador, for me, I also want to say that it's beyond just politicking. What we're involved in is spiritual warfare, demonstrated around the funeral. I try to avoid being superstitious, but I think it is important for us to understand that we are not in ordinary times. We are in extraordinary times. Zambians must also not only encourage us to play politics as usual, but also encourage us to pray, because our country is at a crossroad politically, economically, but also spiritually. What will happen in 2026 will be as a result of the spiritual warfare we engage in outside just our political activism. We need our country to realign again to the perfect will of God for our nation. It's a covenanted nation, declared as a Christian nation. The effort to try and introduce alien values and distortion in terms of our faith is a clear testimony that there is an agenda from the Dark Kingdom that we need to push back. And therefore, leadership that we made in 2026 will not be one where you do picky na pick dory. I think it's a leadership that we made out of intercession and prayer, hence calling on the church. Let the church in Zambia arise. Stop speaking to these political issues based on who has given you money or who has brought a bigger envelope as offering. Begin to hear what God is saying about this current season, the current situation, and where this country should go. I think we have more to do, more than just politicking. Ambassador, thank you very much for hosting me, and I'm grateful that we've been able to contribute the bit we have this evening, and we hope we are inspiring the Zambian people to take action for their country from a place of patriotism, Pan-Africanism, as well as the fact that you just love your country and nothing else.
Indeed, all we do is just love our country and love our country deeply, and you've demonstrated by speaking to issues of unity. Thank you, SG, and I'll let you go, but you can tune in and listen in to the callers. They'll be on you. They'll still be asking questions. The questions I can answer, I'll answer. The questions that I'm unable to answer, SG is listening. So, SG, thank you very much, and God bless you. And good luck tomorrow as we interact with the issues around the judgment. Let me take the calls. Thank you, SG. You are released. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, caller. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Raphael Nakacinda, calling from Livingstone.
Yes, make your contribution. We have released SG. Is gone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I like the job that you are doing, Mr. Mwamba.
Thank you.
It's not easy to, it's not easy to put the different kinds of views across the world together. Keep it up.
Thank you very much. Yes, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hi, I'll stay anonymous.
Yes, anonymous.
Hi, I wanted to ask Honorable before he left, but unfortunately he's gone because it's late. I wanted to ask if perhaps you can give us a feel of what the reaction was in South Africa to the audio that was leaked between the minister and the individual who claims to be PF, but he isn't. where they were talking about bribing one of the judges. So I was wondering if we could have a feel of what the reaction was, if at all there was any.
There's a coalition. There's a coalition of NGOs in South Africa that has reported Zambia to SADC. We'll be bringing you the details later. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And then the thing I wanted to say was I haven't really heard any comment, because this is a very serious situation. I haven't really heard any perhaps he made a comment, the president, but I've not heard anything. And it makes me wonder, would there be any disciplinary action? Because we know it was a minister on the in that audio. There's been no disciplinary action as far as I'm aware. So that is worrying. We shouldn't allow that to be the norm, despite of which person is president or which regime is ruling the country. That shouldn't be the norm. There should be some sort of disciplinary.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my comment.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Well, good evening, Mwamba. It's me, Robert, again. I always like to call at the end of the show to try to sink in everything. Wow. Nakacinda, when people talk about leadership and for his age and what is presented today, it's about unity. If you follow from the word go, he kept on talking about unity, 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 unity. And what we Zambians don't realize is the attack by the president on PF, the Zambian, is the attack on the Zambian people. It's not an attack on Nakinda. It's the attack on the Zambian people. And the Zambian people need to wake up and realize that what this government is trying to do is take democracy from them. So if people keep on saying, oh, PF is finished, you're making the other person feel even better, because what they're doing is they're actually destroying Zambia's largest opposition party. So even winning without the infrastructure of PF, it makes it more difficult. Anyway, we're going to find a solution as we go forward. But what I just wanted to say is the way he presented himself, he didn't talk about PF. He kept on talking about unity and the opposition coming together. And I do not see a person that is ambitious in terms of leadership, but someone who just wants what's better for our country. And those examples that he gave about Vernon Mwanga and Mainza Chon and stuff, it almost made me cry. I said, this is the type of patriotism that we need going in 2026. Thank you so much, Mwamba. May you continue with this program. You know, it's going to be tough. It's going to get very tricky in the next few months as we get closer. But he presented himself very well, and he's gone in my fantasy team for the cabinet. So we keep on seeing which team goes in 2026, but he's done so well. He's presented himself so well. And yeah, thank you so much, and pass our message to him.
Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling from the land of AI. This is Judas Caesar. I want to talk about something like the lady on somebody called talking about your page. The things sometimes you see these people are calling, some people they just want to frustrate you. They are not even part of this program of uniting the opposition. That guy was sounding like a UPND. That's what I wanted to say about that guy. But again, I want also to talk about the unity. You know, all people, if you come back home, Mr. Mwamba, I know last time I saw you, it's the last time I saw you at Banda or somewhere there, but now you are in diaspora. But the thing I want to tell you that people here back home, people want unity. They want one opposition leader. People are ready to vote. So as much as you speak to these leaders, ours in diaspora and also locally, tell them that people are ready to vote. Just as we're waiting to give us a candidate whom we can cast a vote. So here people are ready to cast a vote for the changing of government next year. So what we want as a people, young people and old people, we want to be given a candidate whom we can cast a vote. We want unity. And some people opposition tell them if they're not selected, let them give chance to the one whom people will choose. So it's not everyone can be a leader, but what we want is just opposition to be one, so that our vote may not split our vote. Right now we are hearing people they didn't even have party structure. No, I want to stand each other, but what we want to speak to those people, they are this big things one organization that can move forward and remove the this regime of dictatorship. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We are taking a last set of calls. Yes, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
This is Patrick calling from Lusaka.
Yes, Patrick.
Yes, please. First of all, good evening to you, Ambassador Mwamba.
Good evening.
And good evening to Honorable Raphael Nakacinda. I just want to appreciate the good program that you are bringing to us, listeners, and also sympathizers. And I just want to encourage you to continue highlighting us and help to expose the wrongdoings that are happening in this our lovely country. And also I want to encourage all those listeners to rally behind this good cause, because it's not for your benefit, but the benefit of everyone in this country. If we love this country, we should support this and help remove this tyranny that is taking shape. So it is very important to each and everyone, and to make sure that this united front that is about to be formed, it should be something that each and everyone who loves this country should support, and make sure that we take them to victory and remove this dictatorship that is taking shape in our country.
Thank you very much.
If we try to divide...
Thank you very much, my dear brother. Let's take some more calls. Let's allow more people to contribute. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello, Ambassador.
Yes, caller. Please make your contributions quickly. Your name and where you're calling us from.
I've come back again. Now, the other question that I have, Agent Ambassador, is for the people that are fighting for this country. How do we protect them from being harassed? Because already there are a lot of callers on this program. They are scared of naming their names for fear of victimization. If they are followed by the police, what should they do? What should they answer? Who should they alert? And then the other question is we've seen a lot of bad developments in our country. When you look at parliament, we already 7 members of parliament have lost seats unceremoniously. When you look at the rule of law, it's not there. Innocent people are going to jail based on because they have got a different political idea. Now, are there no institutions where we can report to so that they can keep this country on checks besides our own? Because in our own country, it's now very difficult to report a case. But if, for example, the way the happenings in parliament, the wrong incarceration, the torturing of people, where can the Zambians report to so that our government can be made accountable? Because a lot of people, Ambassador, they are living in fear. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, sir. I will remain anonymous. Mwamba, it's just a quick one. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Usheva Mwamba, ikopwena Zambia, chatukosera shani. You know, ichicharo chesu. We've got a number of bad things happening. Valungu valirwere vareranda great numbers. Finally, we've lost Valungu. And then we are seeing stupid things happening in our country. What does it take for a Zambian to react? We should send Denshi. The previous caller is from saying, no, some about 7 members of parliament have just lost their, constitutional. But for how long are we going to just to sit and watch like that? We are seeing people incarcerated. We are seeing people being tortured. We are hearing some abductions. For how long are we going to sit and watch as Zambians? What does it take for a Zambian person to react to Mwamba? Thank you. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm taking the last few calls. Tomorrow we have a special broadcast. Hello, caller, tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Stay away from PF, you are a future leader. Umuntu bamwamba RFI ko kumona wino sana alibapa pankama nombo ushikubumo akalanda tukamwi shibali alibapa assignment uyu muntu RFI kwa platform yesu pa PF teba lipali platform bena Zambia ukumona Zambia yala enda verification nombo uyu muntu alemoneko kwebati chimwe chine na abantu abalekanda bena Zambia nawo echirongani no avamo so umuntu bamwamba RFI ko kumugugura bwino sana turetere chimfurunganya na totera mukwa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm taking the last calls. If you have something to say, make your contributions. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Mr. Ambassador Mwamba. This is Emmanuel Mwamba Verified calling from the land of peace.
Make your contribution.
Well, I'll just make this as brief as possible. I'll just urge the opposition to come together and be together as one, because, I mean, what the country is actually going through, we've never experienced since independence. And I think after tomorrow's verdict with this court ruling in Johannesburg, I think it would be very good and wise for the opposition to come together, pick a candidate, and market that candidate to the Zambian people. I thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your contribution, my brother. We are taking the last calls. If you have something that you think you should say quickly before I close. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, this is Patrick, a youth from Lusaka.
Yes, Patrick.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'd like to encourage Tonse Alliance and the SG that they're doing a very, very good job, but the engagement with the youth has been very minimal. You know, the people that usually drive change, a revolution, is mostly driven by young people. So Tonse Alliance should really engage and work with the youths and to see to it that we bring about this change, because we're tired. We're all in the background. We're scared because we don't have a leader to stand in front and encourage us to fight for ourselves, for our country. So I'd encourage Tonse Alliance that you won't win these elections without involving the youth, without our energy, without our support. So please, Tonse, you need to start engaging the youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Mwamba Balishan Mkwai.
Yo tulifia bwino shana imwe.
Aho tulifia bwino wa Mwamba. Aho ina tunafa tukwanda pali bafala. Amashu balandi. I think abantu bale umfiki. Balandirepo ikintu kyarugeneyo. Balandire ninshi bangala mibonfesha imwe. Kuyamukula kitefintu kya musangwezi. Balesha abantu baho. Tamwalolesha abonfyase imitundu yimbi. Ukula kiteso balechita. Eso balandire bashimape. Tabalandirepo any tribalism wedi parenyo. Ona balandire padubu kali bali vika mubati. Tatwa umfire balelanda ku bantu babo. Bamwambapo naperera balelanda ku bantu babo kweba ninshi bangala mibonfesha. Kuya uchitonje kuya kitefintu kya musangwezi.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I take the last two calls. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Yes.
Mr. Kalale.
Yes, Mr. Kalale, make your contribution, sir.
First of all, I want to thank you for the program.
Yes, I can hear you.
Are you getting me? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Natwa mtotera sana pale program wa Mr. Mwamba. Echukuru cho ndefu ya okulanda po. Chakwe wati ifo bafamu. Tapali fo tulesekera mu ya uteko tule isabwaya. So lately was the opposition to unite. And then to kumona independence, not independence 1964. As youths, we want independence here number. Don't worry, sekera mo kumona chao. Abapena fiawa because to elimine 04 kwa mkuvoto kwa tifintu fichinje. Kanshi to chinja from muku ikuta ukuya munsala. Mlevo wa Mwamba.
MKY.
Twale chinja kufuma muku ikuta ukuya munsala. Na tuchula sana. Business tuchita ya kushitse vyombo kufuma kumaserenje ukutwara kusaka. So balinda ka ifyo yali dula ivindu vingi vyali dula so nga twashita pale vindu nangu vyutule muna mkwati kwa fama. Umufundo wali dula. Ukambara twalesira pa mutengo twalesira pa mutengo tulesira pa nomba. It's totally different. So twapapata sana tulefwa kateko sa kutumbula uguno shikwatu kulifo wa fama vitwa tulesikera. Na totera sana washimo.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please make your contributions. Tell us your name and make your contributions. You always to pala mulishana imwe.
Infebwino bamwamba. Oh, bamwamba. Na inena chirafo kuchitakonka with what the previous caller said concerning the father. I also agree that I didn't see any tribal marks on what my father said. He was merely expressing the pattern that has been observed. The people that the president has been using. I think this is why the father even felt to defend himself because there was nothing wrong in his sentiments. He was merely expressing the observation, and I think most of the people have observed this. This is what has been happening. He uses a particular region. That is what the father was saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yeah, good evening, Mwamba.
Good evening.
Oscar Kabaye.
Yes, Oscar.
Anonymous. Surely I'm a member of, I came into the PF in 2019. I came from the UPP where I was Secretary General and accepted to work as an ordinary member. Now, I have to go direct to the point. I want to say that as an alliance, we are in a state of emergency right now because what we are seeing on the ground is that people don't want UPND. But again, people are waiting for the leadership of the PF and the Tonse Alliance to make decisions. I think what I need to send to our comrade there is that the leaders of the alliance, as after the burial, should be looking at listening to any other person outside of the Central Committee on what else we can do in order to navigate the challenges that we have at the moment, especially that people are in limbo. They don't really know what is happening about the PF Chabinga issue, the NCP, which direction are we going to follow, and what will come
in terms of who we choose as a leader to lead us into the elections as a candidate in the 2026 general election. Those issues need to be clarified to not just to the members, even to the general public as quickly as possible so that we can begin to work. That is number one. The PF is still a very strong opposition political party and the Tonse alliance. So all these things that the UPND are saying that there is no opposition, it is just mere manipulation. We need to make it clear that 2026.
Oh, we lost him. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Mr. X from Land of AI.
Yes, Mr. X, make your contributions.
Two observations. There's a certain gentleman that calls the program. He calls himself Gift from Chipata, and another one calls himself, I've forgotten the name, from Houston. These two gentlemen, if possible, are just there as a distraction. Block them. Secondly, there's an issue of voter mobilization and registration. Please, that should be something that should be emphasized on by the opposition. They shouldn't just sit and wait and hope on the goodwill of the people. They should encourage the people to go and register as voters in areas especially which are highly voter populated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Anonymous from Zanzibar.
Yes, Anonymous. Make your contributions.
I think my contribution is I think we can actually look at the way the appointments are being made for these senior positions, like for ZRA, ECZ, Tech. I think we should make some changes whereby the presidents only make nominations for these, and then the names are sent to parliament so that the parliamentarians, the MPs, they go for vetting, so that in regard these members are reviewed for qualifications. Also, they check for integrity, because once the president appoints these people to aid these institutions, they will be compromised in their leadership. They won't be professional. So at least when members of parliament they review and screen each and every nominated candidate, I think there will be order. I submit.
Thank you very much, Mwantu Akwalesa. We have to pack and go. We enjoyed your program today, and thank you for all the contribution and the many viewers that joined us in this broadcast. We have to end now. I know the phone is still buzzing. We try as much as possible to give you, you voice out, because many people are worried about the cyber and cyber crimes laws that have been set up, and now they are literally shut down our freedom of expression. So we don't take it for granted. For you in the diaspora, I'm glad of how much you've supported this program, and you've literally taken ownership of it. We have a special broadcast coming up tomorrow just to discuss the outcome of the ruling that will occur in the South African High Court, the Gauteng Division in Pretoria. There'll be a judgment that will be read beginning 11:30 hours, and whichever way the matter will go through, you will have a say. If we are privileged, we might get a lawyer like Honorable Makebi Zulu and others to be on the program. We'll finalize, but we have a special program tomorrow just to discuss that judgment. And then we have a diaspora forum that we said should be taking place over the weekend. We're trying to find a panel that should discuss the mining sector and the worrying issues that have taken place in the mining sector. Remember, there is literally gold looting that is going on. There is failure to pay taxes by the big, large-scale miners. They are not paying appropriate, just fair taxes. They've been loaded with incentives. So we want a set of professional panel to come and discuss that. Today, we are hosting Honorable Raphael Nakacinda, who's Secretary General of the Patriotic Front, he highlighted various issues, including the matter in which they've resolved with Honorable Mao Sampa and they're working together. That was the main matter that hindered the PF. The issue of Robert Chavinga is just a side issue where President Nakinda is abusing his powers. The principal persons in this matter was Honorable Mao Sampa and the Patriotic Front, and the two have resolved. There's a judge, a High Court judge, who's refused to sign that agreement. We're going into 6 months. The parties have agreed that judge will not sign that consent, which is rare. There have been complaints to the Chief Justice about that matter. There have been complaints against the judge over that delay. 5 months, unacceptable, and people have resolved the matter because they want to sustain Chavinga, who's been expelled as a leader in parliament. And Chavinga may be warned, he's getting money illegally from that position of leader of the opposition since he was installed. These are crimes that can be pursued later. He also talked about Tonse. He says Tonse should not die. And he spent a lot of time talking about unity and keeping the country together. He also alerted members of his colleagues in the opposition. It's not about your personal ego. It's not just about you appearing on the ballot paper. There is a movement to emancipate our country. This is Independence 2.0. And Nakacinda was very clear. Let us unite. Hang your jackets. Hang your personal ambitions. Let us, I think, get this country from the clutches that is both spiritual and evil people that have taken over this country, that are promoting also things like dictatorship. He was very clear. So thank you for joining us, and to the many callers, would like to thank you and the contributions. You make the program. That's why I make time for callers. I think you make the program. And for all those that are following us on social media, we are grateful. The numbers are huge because you follow us. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless our country. We'll speak to you tomorrow.
International community, I just want to give you an update of where we are concerning the case of the government of the Republic of Zambia and Esther Lungu, together with other 7 respondents. As you